But this so-called new liberal group, Jesus, they never listen to your point of view, and they make a decision as to what you think, and they're articulate enough and in control of enough of the press to force that image out for the average person. For some reason, maybe it's these pictures, they have not been able to do that with me.
Welcome back to our channel. So Kara was listening to this, was it John Wayne? By the way, we really been into Western movies.
Yeah, I love me some John Wayne. You know what I mean? I just do.
How do we
I have
start?
like 60 John Wayne movies.
I know.
I'm obsessed with the Wild West.
Something happened where well, first of all, we started watching Bonanza.
Yeah.
That's what happened, right? And in love with that show. Who knew? Okay, I never cared about these Western movies, right, or TV shows or anything. And then we were like, John Wayne is supposed to is like the biggest star of all the Western movies, right? So we're like, let's watch a John Wayne movie. And we watched a John Wayne movie, and I was like, I think it was Big Jake. I think that's what it was, one of those. And I was like, this is like a wonderful movie. We went on to buy so many John Wayne movies. There's a video of John Wayne talking about liberals. It's like audio of him talking about this, and we wanted you guys to hear it and see what you guys think about it. So let us know. Let's go ahead and play it.
It's a funny thing. The Indians now, this AIM group, have started something that now they're against me for some reason. But I am the only man in pictures that always gave them their human dignity. I never was in a picture. I never allowed myself at any time to do anything that would take their human dignity away from them. And that, to me, is the most important thing in a man's. I have found that a certain type that calls himself a liberal, and I always thought I was a liberal. I came up terribly surprised one time when I found that I was a right-wing conservative extremist.
When I first heard this the other day when I was watching this, I felt that he really took the words of how I felt about being a conservative. Right. Is I always did kind of think I was liberal because I do hear both sides.
Yeah.
Of the, you know what I mean? And I was a liberal in that camp a lot longer than I have been a conservative. But I realized that I really never was a liberal because of just the way I believed. But I always thought that because I was a liberal because I could listen to. Yeah. I was open to hearing. Yeah. And I always thought of conservatives as being people who were shut off.
When I have listened to everybody's point of view that I ever met, and then decide how I should feel. I mean, but this so-called new liberal group. Jesus, they never listen to your point of view, and they make a decision as to what you think, and they're articulate enough and in control of enough of the press to force that image out for the average person. For some reason, maybe it's these pictures, they have not been able to do that with me. In spite of what they say, people have not taken sides that I'm it hasn't affected my career in popularity, let's say. In spite of the fact that they've tried to make it do it. There isn't a hell of a lot that we can do to change human behavior. We keep making laws to try and change human behavior. You can't do it. I think you can accept it and feel how you would feel in that position. You're being conned into Keynesianism and socialism now.
Here I say you're being conned into socialism. So when I see a lot of the pushing of what they're teaching in schools right now, and just kind of like our behavior as a society, I do agree with that. I think that it's clear to me that we are being pushed, and the media is left. I mean, 99% of it, right, is all left. So left-leaning at least, and so that's what.
Yeah. And so the whole liberal shtick is that they listen to everybody. They're accepting of everybody.
Yeah,
Everybody can come in, except when you believe in a biblical point of view or something.
Yeah,
so John Wayne is like a man's man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so because he's that way, he represents the patriarchy. He's also white, straight, and rich.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And Christian. And so they look at him, and I think all of his wives, his 3 wives, were all Mexican.
Yes,
I think
they
were
were
all Spanish.
Yeah, they were.
But he was deemed the patriarch, and his career did well because he was so famous. But after he died, they really tried to make him into a racist.
Yeah.
And they tried to. I think his son had to go and try to clean up a lot of the stuff about his dad. But even with me, I feel that same connection because I always felt like liberals thought that way too until I'm like a woman that likes to be a woman.
Then,
I don't want to trump a man. I'm not
yeah.
interested in that. And I found that liberals, when I was in that party, don't really like a person like me.
Yeah.
Even though they say they like everyone,
No.
they don't really mean that. You know what I mean? And so that's it. I'm sort of just a girly girl. And so you're not allowed to be liked unless you want to be a feminist or, because
the feminist women
right.
think that we're holding women back in the 50s or we're keeping them in the kitchen, right? So I'm like, but I like being a lady.
And I tried so hard back in my past to try to be feminist.
I did,
or just to try to be updated.
Yeah.
But I didn't. That's not who I am. You know what I mean? And so that's why I like to tell a lot of girls, just be who you are. If you're not that girl, don't try to be that woman. Don't do that.
Don't force it.
I did realize that, like him, just believing what you believe is not a liberal thing. Believing how they want you to believe is a liberal thing.
Right.
But it isn't going to stop the selfishness of human behavior. It isn't going to stop the greed. If you take $20 and give $1 to every son of a bitch in a room, and come back a year later, one of the bastards will have most of the money. I mean, it's just human nature, and you're not gonna whip it with a lot of laws. I think when you make people conscious, as communication gets better, and you make people conscious of somebody in trouble, starving or something like that, the average person will help. But of course now they've got so damn many charities and there's so much professionalism, there's if you have a charity, you hire some professionals to work up the charity, and by the time you get the money, you get $4 for the recipient and $400 for the administrators. So, I mean, Christ, I think there are people who try to affect a thinking where they know more than some other son of a bitch and try to put a false impression on what human nature is. Christ's sakes, we have proven that we go back to hope at the first opportunity. Just throw out a little fish and bam, they're out there ready to grab it. So we are optimistic. We have to be optimistic. Christ, what else would there be in life if you lose optimism?
Yeah. People lose. What I thought was interesting there, that was when we said these charities, not really even charities anymore. A lot of them, the recipients get $4, and then the charity, I guess, like holder gets $400. And it made me think of the Maui situation with Oprah and The Rock and everything, because the administrators or the executives of that charity are making $400,000 off of this situation, whereas the recipients of the alleged recipients that they're allegedly giving it to are not getting anything, or if they are, it's almost nothing. And so it's very funny that he says that, knowing what's happening and that happened in Maui.
I saw this clip just because it came in my on my feed. I was watching some YouTube shows, and this one kind of came up, and I was like, oh, what's this one about? Because like I said, I love John Wayne. And so also I liked that time because I feel like men were men, and I like to see just men being men and women being women. I like that image, and also because we could see now, this was probably the late 60s when he probably said this, that he could even say then that the media was starting to be taken over by socialism and rhetoric and liberal trying to have trying to legislate a thinking in people.
John Wayne has said this before, where he's felt like that Hollywood is changing to something. He said he can see it in the writing. That's what he said. He's like, I can see it in the writing that it's starting to change into a more liberal thing, and it's not going to be a good thing. And now look at Hollywood. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you can't get more liberal. There can't be enough movements.
Right. I mean, he basically had an opinion that men are men and women are women. We are different, and we see things. We don't see things the same.
Right.
We could look at the exact same thing and have a different point of view, and that's not wrong. That's the way nature is. And even when he was talking about making laws to change people's feelings, that's also true. You can't make a law to make people like each other, or to make everything equal, which he was talking about equity and inclusion, basically saying that there's you should say give everybody money and then we're all gonna be the same. Not true. And he's right. There are always going to be people who are harder workers. There are always going to be people who are lucky because they hustled more and they hit a lucky streak. There are always going to be people who none of us are born the same. All white people aren't born rich. All black people aren't born rich, and some of us all start in the back.
Yeah. And
there are black people who are very wealthy and their kids are starting way up at the front. But we don't seem to do that. You know what I mean? And the same thing when it comes to, like I said, women and men. We are different. And therefore, because we are different, we are going to have different outcomes. It's not going to be the same. And if everything is the same, the outcomes are all the same, then there's manipulation there. And I don't like manipulation. I like for things to naturally just happen.
Also, what they do is they try to, what you see now are people forcing titles and behaviors, and that's not designated for their sex. Right. And so, like, what did that one guy say? You don't call a fish a swimmer, right? You don't give the fish a title of a swimmer because that's just what the fish does. The fish swims, right? But now we have the independent woman. Why do you need to say that? Why are we giving it a title? Okay, you know why? Because it's not natural. Okay? It's not natural. That's why we're doing that. So when something is not natural and not fitting to your gender, your sex, you give it a title.
Right.
You give it a title because it's foreign. It doesn't make any sense. So I like the times where the title was just that. It was designated to you because it came to you naturally. We are now resisting nature. We're doing our damnedest to resist nature. And all it's done is put us in this, what we see now. This
Queen Elizabeth, her Christmas address in 1957, when TV first came out. Well, they were going into a new technology, which was called television, and so she did her first Christmas address was on TV. Before it all had all been on radio. And she was talking about in that address, she talked about the fact that they were now getting, she was you're now able to see her and she speaks that, things are changing. But there was this one part where she actually said, there is this need that as we progress to throw out everything that came before us.
Yeah.
And that would be devastating because everything does not need to change.
We shouldn't.
We can progress. Things, we can get the internet, but we don't need to change everything that worked just because we got something new. You know what I'm saying? Just because we're in a different time and we have more advantages because of technology does not mean that we are inherently different.
Yeah,
like what we are in our nature is different. That doesn't change. Women are still going to want to get married. Women can still have children and men can't. You know what I mean? Men still want something from women that women don't really want from men, but we both want it. You know what I mean? That has nothing to do with the technology. Yeah. That's just God.
But now we are the inclusion society. Right. Now we are we have to include. There has to be inclusion. Everyone has to be catered to. Everyone has to be represented properly. And it's just become this very odd, counterproductive, toxic kind of society right now. And I know that probably blew John Wayne's mind because he is like the ultra masculine patriarch type patriot type man, and Can you imagine?
Which, by the way, women like he died in 1979.
So can you imagine him seeing what it is now?
But women like that, and women still do.
They still do.
No woman really wants a man
They're
who
lying.
isn't weak. A man, you know. I mean, we just talked about Will and Jada.
Who wants him?
You know what I mean? This is what happens when you become a weak, type of person. I'm not saying he doesn't have problems. I'm not saying John Wayne is perfect. He's not. No one is.
Yeah.
But what I will say is,
but the basics are
what he's saying about what he's saying
mm-hmm.
is absolutely true. Mm-hmm. You can't create change with laws. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You really can't. You know what I mean? People have to want to change personally. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And sometimes laws can just make things worse.
Yeah, they usually do.
Getting the government involved in everybody's lives usually makes things a lot worse. Yeah. Us being able to come to our senses on our own usually works out better.
It's not really even law and order.
When we talk about closing the borders, and everybody's all, why do we have to close borders? It's open borders. What do you mean? Now look at Chicago. They all hate.
Yeah, now
they've got all these sanctuary cities are now, they all want these people out.
They're so mad.
And I was like, yeah, this is what you voted for, though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There has to be structure in life. And by the way, now we're all, like I say, Danielle and I have born in the same home, the same mother, the same upbringing. We are very different.
Yeah.
We don't have the same, ways. We're not equal, really. Mm-mm. Danielle is a lot smarter in things than I am, and then there are things I'm a lot smarter than.
Yeah.
And that's good. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So the same thing there. If you have 5 black men, one of them is going, like he said, you can give all of them $1, and one of them is going to come out a millionaire.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I thought it was very interesting when I was listening to him. I seem to, whenever I listen to John Wayne, I seem to get some kind of nugget.
Somehow, with all of this no limits behavior, anything goes kind of behavior, we got rid of all of that, and now we got chaos.
Yeah.
It's like we got rid of too much.
Yeah.
And it's only because there's no structure.
Yeah.
We lost structure.
Yeah.
There was structure at those times. And also, I don't care what you say about the 50s. Look, I don't care what you say about the 50s and the 60s, okay? We get it. We know there were problems at that time. But I will say that when it came to society, though, it was primarily a conservative mindset, not political necessarily. I'm talking about just the way people behave conservatively, right? They were very respectful to each other and community and things like that. And I feel like now we don't have that anymore. It's because we just threw it all away. Mm-hmm. You know?
Because men were expected to work hard. Women were expected to be loyal to them.
Yeah, they were.
There were things we were expected to do because those things worked.
It worked.
But then again, we started getting all this technology, and all of a sudden we started thinking that, we have this technology, we don't need each other
I'm going to beat the system.
We don't really need each other anymore.
What?
We'll let computers raise our kids.
Then with the uprise of social media, social media is always the craziest thing to me because we got so connected that we're disconnected.
Right.
That's why I love the 50s so much because and we watch a lot of stuff from we really just all we watch is old stuff, old TV shows, old movies and stuff because something about just the way that it just seemed so respectful and simple. That's another thing. It was so simple. It was no complications. Mm-hmm. Men understood they couldn't have babies.
But also, even when you talk about women just seem smarter.
Smarter.
No, like
happier,
happier. But they just seem smarter.
Yeah,
they didn't say dumb things like we say today. You know what I mean? Like it just like it was like it's just you think about what happened to us. But like I said, when I was watching that Christmas address from Queen Elizabeth, when she said that, I thought she probably didn't even really realize that we were going to have what we have today.
Yeah,
but she was just talking about television.
Right.
They just now started. Television was becoming big.
Yeah,
and so she was like, "There's this need," and the fact that she saw that there's this need to to moving forward with progress, there's this need to sort of forget about things that do work and to throw everything away. And she's like, and I hope that doesn't ever happen. Yeah. And I'm like, it happened.
It happened.
It happened.
Let's see what you guys think about John Wayne in general.
Because it made me think of, what's his name? Paul Harvey.
Oh, yes, Paul Harvey.
They saw it. They saw it
coming.
And so whenever I see or hear that, or Manning Johnson, he's, people like that, when they see that those people came before us, so they saw what we're living today. They saw it coming in the 50s and 60s,
and they voiced
some
it.
Of them 40s, they saw it,
and they voiced it.
Nobody was listening because everybody was living all right.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, or everything seemed normal.
Yeah,
But man, we have completely, when 2000 hit, we completely turned America on its head.
I know. Let me hear your thoughts on this. Leave some comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't yet. Sorry about the construction going on out there. We'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.